Okay, welcome to another video and what makes the first video of 2022. So I hope everyone had a good Christmas and New Year. Now for the first video back, we're going to be checking up on a personal favourite of mine, which is Nitrux, who released a new version over the Christmas period of version 1.8.0. So I've seen a lot of cool new features of this release, so I'm very excited to check it out for myself. What we'll do first is have a quick look at the release announcement and then we'll jump straight into it. So we've got a new default kernel of 5.15.11 LTS, and of course you can also install some additional kernels such as Nitrux and Xamod from the repositories. So they've updated the following components of this distribution, which are KDE Plasma to version 5.23.4, and Frameworks has been bumped up to 5.89.0, and KDE Gear is version 21.12.0. Firefox has been updated to version 95.0. Kden Live is now version 21.12.0, Packstall to version 1.7, a Ditto menu to version 1.0, okay. So the default Latte dock layout now has a pager and trashcan plasmoid next to the task manager. Also, the top panel behavior changes with maximize windows by hiding the panel after 3 seconds. So kind of like what you get on sort of Mac OS when you've got a full screen application. You don't have the title bar at the top, and on here it'll sort of auto hide it after 3 seconds. Maui apps now use CSD, I think that's client-side decoration by default, and then that can be disabled if you edit the following file. And then we've got some nice screenshots of the new Maui kit shell, which we'll be spending most of our time on in this video. The Calamares installer now uses XFS file system to install the distribution. So that's quite interesting to me. So beforehand they were using ButterFS, which is my preferred file system. So I'd be interested to know the reasons of why they have switched to XFS. We've added the following components to the default installation. So they've added 113 AppArmor profiles, 2 customizable pages for the Plasma system monitor. Please note that these pages need to be customized by the user to match their hardware. This is not a bug. And we've got 4 new wallpapers as part of the announcement for the Maui Shell, which is the thing that I'm very excited about checking out. So they've added the Maui Shell for testing. Maui Shell is a convergent shell for desktops, tablets and phones. It's composed of 2 parts, which is Cask, which is the shell container, elements, templates such as panels, pop-ups and cards. And then we have ZPace is the composer, which is the layout and places the window or surfaces into the Cask container. Now we won't go straight into it with Maui Shell. We will quickly see what's new in the sort of main session of Nitrux, but I'll do a timestamp for those of you that want to jump straight into the Maui Shell part of the video. And then they've also applied some fixes to the following items. Now I'll leave a link to this in the description below for those of you who want to read a little bit more and see what's new. So you've got an ISO size of 3 GB, and with all of that out of the way, let's jump into the live environment and get this installed. Right, so here we are in the live environment. Now I'm sure you all know the drill by now, but as per usual, we're going to be installing natively. But for those of you who do like to skip the installation parts of these videos, there'll be a timestamp down below which will take you straight to the installed desktop. So here we are, we've got the full screen Calamares installer. So let's press next and go for the first step, which is going to be our region, which for me is Europe and London. Let's scroll down till we hit L, and there we go. Next. So I'm just going to leave it on the default for the keyboard layout. We should be all good to go, and next. And now we're going to create our user account and root password. So we're just going to call it Tyler. We're going to name the computer Nitrux. We're going to type in our password, and then we'll do the same for the root password as well. Now for automatic login, I usually do like to go straight to the desktop, but we'll leave that blank for today so we can check out the login screen and how we can also switch between the desktop and the Maui Shell. So let's go next. Okay, so what we're going to do is drop down to our SSD, and we're going to use the straight erase disk and then see what options it gives us. So as we can see there, we have the new file system of XFS, but we can choose what we want to do with a swap. So by default, we've got swap to a file, or we can go for no swap. So just the 2 options there. So that's quite interesting. So I think what we'll do, we will do a little swap file. So we'll chuck that over there. We're still going to have the standard 2 partitions. It will just create a swap file in our root partition, and we'll see how large it creates it once we are fully installed. And next. So there's a summary to make sure we've made no mistakes and commit to an install. And I'll pause the video here and come back once it's finished. And there we go. Installation has completed without any issues whatsoever and was done in under 5 minutes on my machine. Let's reboot and check out our freshly installed Nitrux version 1.8.0. Right, so here we are at the login screen. Now if we just look at the top left here, we can see the desktop session. Interestingly, it's defaulted to the cask, which is running on Wayland, so I'm going to imagine that's the Maui Shell. So if we press the little drop down here, we can see the other sessions that we have. So we have a cask Wayland, we have a cask X11, and then we have the standard sort of Nitrux Plasma setup and session with X11. So I think what we'll do, because I want to split this up into two parts, we'll go for the standard Plasma first, and then we'll check out the Maui Shell after that. But like I said, there will be a timestamp to the Maui specific stuff for those of you who want to jump straight into that. So we'll go for Plasma X11 and let's log in. Right, so here we are in the standard kind of Plasma session for Nitrux, and I do think Nitrux ships one of the nicest out of the box Plasma sessions that you can get from any distribution, and it's also the most consistent, so nothing really looks out of place when you go through the desktop, but we'll run through that in just a moment. What I want to do quickly is open up a terminal, because I do know HTOP is installed out of the box, and we'll see what they've done with that swap file. So let's go into our application launcher. Oh, okay, this even looks different from the last time I checked it out. It's sort of slimmed down and gone sort of longer down the screen. It used to be a little bit wider from what I can remember. Now we're going to open up our terminal, which is Station, which is from the Maui Kit suite of applications. And we're just going to run HTOP very quickly and see what's going on with our swap. We might want to change the color scheming a little bit. It's quite hard to see the font here, but we can see that the swap partition, very small, under a gig at 512 MB. Right, so now that we've got that all out of the way with, let's have a quick run through of the standard Plasma session, and then we'll jump straight into it with the thing I'm most excited about in this release, which is the Maui Shell. Now already we did notice that from the last time I checked out Nitrux on the channel, the actual application launcher has been shrunk down ever so slightly. I still don't think it's bound to your left super key though, but you can assign a keyboard shortcut to it in the system settings. Now moving down to the bottom, we have our Latte dock. I do believe they are still using Latte. They are indeed, and we also have the different sort of layouts that we can go into. I'll quickly show you them before we move on in just a moment. Now new in this release are the little sort of waste bin widgets as well as the workspace switcher. So it's got a very nice fluid slide animation, and let's see if we can drag things around in the actual dock itself to different workspaces. We can indeed, very nice. Let's go back. And now let's test out the waste bin. So let's create a sort of empty file in downloads. Let's go to, so of course we're using index as the default file manager, which is from the Maui kit of applications. So if we press this plus button, can we do anything? There we go. So we can do a new folder. Let's just call this one test. And I do believe we have a little option there for a document or a file as well. So let's create that folder there. Now we're just going to go and straight delete that bad boy by pressing this little trash can here. Do you want to delete it? We're going to send it straight to the trash. And as you notice, you get nice little sort of different color tooltips, things to delete is going to be in red. So let's trash that. And now that we can see, it has actually changed the way the icon looks. So it now looks like the trash can's lid is off, and now our thing's inside the trash can. So if we want to do a right click, can we do anything here? So we can open the trash bin like so. Okay, that appears to just open up my home folder and my file manager. So I think they want to do a bit of work there, so when clicking that, it will actually go straight to your waste bin. It doesn't appear to on my install at the moment. Okay, let's go back into a right click. So we can go to empty and then waste bin settings. If we go straight from here, we can get into the waste bin settings for the system settings module, and then we can do things like your sort of scheduled cleanup of files that are rolled in a specific time and all of that good stuff. And then when we get a full waste bin, we can choose to show a warning, delete the oldest files or delete the biggest files. So now let's do a little test of emptying our waste bin, and then we should see that the icon would then change again to the trash can with the lid on it, letting us know that our trash bin or trash can waste bin is empty. And there we go. So super simple stuff there. They do need to sort out that opening it up in the actual trash can, but other than that, all good. Now, before we go up, let's go and quickly change some of the different layouts so you can quickly see that now. I have shown it before, but for those of you that are new to Nitrux, we have the NX bottom panel, we have the NX top panel, and then we have two for each of those. So if we wanted just a single sort of bottom panel like so, if you're more used to that kind of layout, it will then sort of arrange the latte into that kind of arrangement. And as you can see, we get a very nice sort of not quite edge to edge panel at the bottom, and it's sort of slightly floating from the bottom of our screen. Application menu has then gone to the older style application menu that I remember from previous versions of Nitrux, which has your sort of lock, restart and shutdown buttons all at the bottom there. And then we have some folders, sort of categories for our applications. Okay, And then we have some quick launches, and then pressing one of these, so for example opening up your file manager, will then remove that icon from the quick launch and then open its own little window there with the tooltip of Tyler Index. Very nice. Now I'm just going to go straight back into the standard layout because that is my favorite one of all. So we're going to go back into NX top panel, which I do believe is the default, which will give us a panel at the top and then our dock at the bottom. There we go, but we are now missing the workspace switcher. I wonder if we go into a different layout and then go for NX top panel 2 and whether that will include the different workspaces for us. There we go, so that is the difference between the 1 and 2 of the top panel layout. Now your panel at the top, again, it's not a standard KDE panel, it is still using Latte, so as you can see there, we've got Latte, and then they have nice little sort of right side sort of triggers that pop out for things to, like, if you show hidden, there you can get to all of your status and notifications for your Bluetooth, your clipboard, and all of that good stuff. And the same is for pretty much everything here. So we've got all of our audio controls, and if we had media playing, we have some nice controls there as well. So like I said, very nice and consistent look across the whole desktop, and it's got nice blur with minimal sort of noise in the transparency, which I definitely appreciate. I always turn the noise right down on my own sort of Plasma sessions. Now, as far as the applications, most of these are going to be app images, or they're also going to be from the Maui Kit application. So for example, things like your GIMP and stuff like that should be app images. And then we also have the Heroic Games launcher there, which is pretty cool to see. Buho is a Maui Kit application. Clip, Communicator, Firefox is your default web browser. Inkscape, install itch.io. Kcalc, Kdenlive installed out of the box, very nice. LibreOffice, and again that should be an app image because LibreOffice does ship official app images that you can download from their website, like so. So let's close that one off. In fact, let's quickly open up a writer document and see if it's got all of the sort of dictionary support that we like to see out of the box on these distributions. So let's just type any old gibberish, and bang, you can see there that it has got the correct dictionary to enable the auto spell check right there. And then as you can also notice, we have the full sort of global menu, which really does make things a lot sort of tidier for me. I'm very much a big fan of global menus, especially on KDE, because it's, you know, it's built into it. You don't have to do a whole lot of sort of setting it up yourself. It's all there and good to go. Of course, certain applications aren't quite set up for global menus, so I'm going to imagine if we open up Firefox, you'll notice that it doesn't have global menu support. Oh, do we have global menu support now? Brilliant. I can't remember if that was in previous versions, but as far as I remember, Firefox isn't actually set up out of the box to have global menu support, but it seems no, we're still on the LibreOffice. I've just realized what's going on there. So let's quickly close LibreOffice so I can see what's going on. So don't save, and let's go back to Firefox. There we go. I got a bit too ahead of myself there. So as you can see, we don't really have any global menu support for Firefox or web browser. Most applications will, but you will run into the odd one here and there that won't. We then have Nitrux Share, which is an application that first debuted on Linux Mint, I do believe, which will let you share sort of files and documents across other computers on your network, also running Nitrux Share. Nota, another Maui Kit application, and then we have the NX Software Center, which was sort of introduced a couple of versions ago of Nitrux. For a while, it didn't have its own software center, so it is very cool that we do actually have one here ready to go now. And let's just quickly demo installing a new application. So let's say we wanted a different web browser. Let's go straight into internet and see what we've got. So we have the Brave web browser right here, and then we can just press the get button. But if we scroll down, we can see what it's actually going to be installing. And as you can see, as Nitrux puts a big emphasis on app images, it's going to be grabbing an app image. So we're just going to press get, and then that will run through there. So we'll press that one now as well. And then that will go straight ahead and install the Brave web browser, make it executable, and then integrate it within your system so it sort of appears in things like your application launcher. And it should also appear in things like your K-Runner as well. And there we go, our app is ready. So if we go into application launcher now, we should see right there, we can see that we have indeed grabbed the Brave Beta package. Now, other applications, we have Wine, which is an app image as well. And I do have a video sort of demonstrating how that all works. Very cool stuff in a previous video of Nitrux I've done on the channel. We have Wave, System Monitor. Now, is the System Monitor the one that they said they've got new customizable pages? Let's have a look. So here we are on the overview. So we've got memory, disk, CPU. We then have applications there as well. However, application view is unsupported on my system apparently. Okay. And we have history, processes, and then we have GPU util. So that grabs it all, so that's all working as it should. And then we have IO, and then we have add new pages as well, so we can customize it as we see fit. So let's keep it moving for now. So let's close that off. So I don't think we need to spend a whole lot of time on the applications. Like I said, not too much has changed in this sort of area from previous videos, but what we will do is quickly test out the full screen, sort of maximizing applications and see how it auto hides the top panel for us. So we're going to go into our index file manager like so, and we're just going to go ahead and completely maximize this application now. So that has gone ahead and opened it up in its own workspace from what I could tell with the animation. And now, as you can see, we have lost our top panel, but if we just pop our mouse back at the top, it will then reveal it. And of course, it's going to move your sort of action buttons into the panel itself, saving you a nice bit of space. Now let's bring it back down, and bang, we are back in a standard view. Again, very nice animation, shrinking it back down to the standard size. So one more thing that we're going to do is jump straight into the system settings. And we're going to go into a window management, because they do include quite a few KWin scripts that I'm a big fan of, and ones that I do use on my own personal sort of KDE sessions. So we have Cronkite, which is for tiling windows on KDE, which is very cool. We have Maximize, so that's what's doing the whole maximizing applications onto their own workspace and all of that good stuff. So as you can see, Maximize will automatically move Maximize window to a new virtual desktop. We have Minimize All, and then we also have Parachute, which is Windows and desktops from above. And we've got a couple more here for synchronizing Skip Switcher with Taskbar, and then we have the Video Wall extension as well. So very big fan of Cronkite included, and I do actually quite like Maximize. I've used it a little bit and got quite used to the way that all works. So I think what we are going to do now is jump straight into it with the Maui Shell, which is the thing, like I said, I am most excited about. Right, so we're back in the login screen, and we're now just going to press this button once more and then drop down to the default session that it actually applied for us, which was Cask on Wayland. Now, I've only seen this in screenshots so far, so I'm very excited to see what it actually looks like running on a machine. So let's type in our password. Okay, looking very nice and clean. So we've got a different kind of dock situation at the bottom here. We have a little drag button. Okay, so that kind of looks a little bit like GNOME 40 sort of overview. So if we press a plus button here, can we get another desktop going? Okay, that doesn't appear to be working. Like I said, this is very new, and it's kind of more like a preview that's included on this Nitrux session. So does this button do anything? Okay, so I'd imagine that will show you running applications. We'll have a look at that in just a moment. So let's go back into Show Desktop, and then we have this button here. Nice, so that's going to open up your little application launcher like so, with all of your applications now in predefined categories, and we have a search bar at the top. So let's see if we launch an application. We've got 2 Kden lives running at the moment. I think that's just doing a bit of funkiness with the sort of .desktop file, so we won't worry about that right now. So let's open up Kden Live, bearing in mind we're still in this kind of view at the moment. Let's go back to the standard desktop. So the default mouse cursor isn't my favorite, but of course we can change that. That's not too much of an issue. So let's go back into our application launcher now and try and open up Kden Live. Okay, it doesn't appear to want to open up Kden Live. Let's try Index. There we go. So that's opened up Index. So by default, it appears that it's using a lighter sort of coloured theme for the actual application window. I wonder if that's for all applications or just MauiKit applications for the moment. But no, looking very cool. So let's open up the Show Application. So that's going to spread it in this kind of view, and then it's going to give you a sort of transparency overlay of your actual desktop, so we can see application windows actually blurred in the background. So that's really quite interesting. And then we have a clear all and settings as well. So if we press settings, okay, that doesn't appear to be ready yet either. Let's try a clear all. No. So can we just press the close button? Bang, back into the desktop. Okay, cool. So I can see where they're going with this, and I'm very liking the way it's all coming together. So we have a little notification button at the top left. Oh, did you see that nice little animation of it? Just sort of, oh, that was lovely. I really like that. So we have our Do Not Disturb toggle, we have our clear, and then we can get into the settings. Does that open up anything yet? No, I'm going to be very excited to watch the progress of this sort of Maui Shell and see how it goes. remembering this is going to be sort of convergent and adaptive across different devices. So if you're running it on a phone or a tablet, it would change the way everything sort of is laid out. But again, so everything just has a nice little sort of animation where it kind of just comes into view. I really do like that. No, that's lovely. So that button's not doing anything at the moment. So this empty space here, is that just an extension of the desktop? So it doesn't appear that we can do any left clicking anyway, but let's keep it moving. So then I'm getting too excited for little animations. I think when this is actually done and ready to sort of be used on your sort of actual daily drivers, this is going to be a candidate for one of the best looking sort of desktops around. So again, very nice animation to sort of expose more options there. So let's see what we've got. So here we have our shutdown, restart and quit. And I wonder what this red bar indicates. We won't press anything yet because we don't want to close it off, but we'll test it out anyway. And then that will then say no players, but we can launch the Wave music player. There we go. So that's going to open it. Can we see it? Okay, where's that been opened? There we go. We now have our other desktops as well. Interesting. Okay, I think this is going to be a really fun sort of shell to use. Nice rounded corners of the actual workspace there. Yeah, definitely getting GNOME 40 vibes for the overview here. Oh, look at that. So we can also slide that along. Oh, okay, I see what's going on here. So that might also be quite good to use with a touch interface as well. So let's go on to a new desktop like so. Brilliant. Okay, cool. I'm liking this. So if we right click, so yeah, things like this are going to need a bit of work. That doesn't look quite right, but we should just be able to close that. It didn't appear to want us to open it anyway. And can we left click or right click? So a right click on the dock itself won't actually do anything, but let's go back to these buttons up here. So that was the sort of little headphone there to open up sort of a music player. We then have things like brightness sliders, volume sliders, and our mic slider. Okay, cool. I'm not running on a laptop at the moment. I'd really like to have tested the brightness. I might have to install this on my laptop another day and see how we go as well. But nope, looking very nice with the controls there. Very simple drag and drop. Very cool. And then we have things like Wi-Fi, so kind of like a control center here. Bluetooth, microphone. Is that a screenshot? What does that do? That's a screenshot. So we can open that up and then go straight into a screenshot, and let's see if that is working out of the box or whether it uses something like... Okay, so that's not appearing to work at the moment. Okay, not to worry. And then we have, I think that's the last of it, isn't it? Okay, so that's everything up top there. Very cool. Right, let's open up a few applications now and just have a little run through and move things around and see how it all works. So again, we're going to go into our application launcher. So it will remember the previous search. I wonder if that's how it's going to be set up or if that's going to change. So it hasn't picked up all of the icons that I can see, which is why we might be having a bit of a trickiness running certain applications. But let's go ahead and try and open up GIMP. No. Okay, let's not worry about that for now. I'm intrigued to see what the settings is going to look like. Let's see if we can open up any other applications and just play around with things. So far, all of the MawiKit applications do appear to work. So let's open up a load of MawiKit applications. So we are using the light theme by default. It would be nice to see a dark theme. I don't know if we can do that on this release though. Let's open up Pix. Let's open up Wave. And let's also open up the NX Software Center. Hopefully that works on here. There we go. So that's working on here as well. Right. So we've now got all of these applications. Do we have side-by-side splitting with a drag and a drop? We don't appear to. So let's full screen an application and see what that looks like in full screen. Okay, not quite right at the moment. So what I probably want to happen is for the dock to sort of automatically hide, but of course at the moment we can't do any right clicks on the dock, but I'm sure that's all coming in future releases. Okay, very interesting. Now let's go back onto the show all windows. So again, I really like the way it blurs out the sort of applications behind it and then gives you the view of things like here. and it's sort of a live sort of tile of that. So as you saw, as all of the things are moving in the background here, they're also moving on the preview window right here as well. So we do have a little cross up here. Is that just to get out of it? Okay. Now let's try clear all and see if that's going to work. Okay, clear all still isn't working, but we're not too worried about that. Okay, so I think what I want to do is see how much RAM this is actually using out of the box on a fresh startup as we move forward. I do really like this view. Okay, right, let's do a reboot, check out the RAM, and then we'll sort of compare that to the standard Plasma session, and then we'll start to wrap things up. I'm really excited to see where this is going to be going in the future. Right, so we've just done a fresh reboot, so we can see how much this Maui Shell is using in RAM on a fresh startup as it currently stands, bearing in mind this is still very much in its infancy. And so far, so good, to be honest with you. So I was expecting it to use a little bit more, especially as this is kind of a preview session, if you like. But we're sitting at just over 600 MB, around about 606, which is really quite decent. Now, while I was moving this window around, I did notice that there is sort of like an auto hide feature. Can we drag and drop this window? What's going on here? Let's close this off for a minute. But as you can see, the dock has actually disappeared. And then it's appeared again when we put our mouse there. So I'm sure that there is going to be some nice sort of auto hiding or intelligent hiding with the dock. Okay, so that is about where I'm going to wrap up with my refreshed look of Nitrux, this time featuring the most recent release of 1.8.0. All in all, I've been a fan for Nitrux for a very long time, and it just gets better with each and every release. They're always adding cool little new features that make it just a very fun distribution to use. And I've always been a big fan of the way they integrate app images into the system itself, making it nice and easy to get them installed and ready to go. Now, as far as the thing I'm most excited about moving forward, which is the Maui Shell, which we spend the last half of this video checking out, although it's still in the very sort of early stages, I can see what the future is going to bring with the Maui Shell, and it's something I'm very excited about. You can imagine a time when you've got your phone or your tablet with the Maui Shell running, so you take it out with you, you've got all your stuff with you, and it's in a kind of phone or a tablet sort of layout, and then when you get home, you just throw it into a dock that's connected to your display, and then it'll adapt to the screen size that you're currently running it on, and there you go, you've got a full desktop environment ready to go, which is a very cool idea. Now, thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe, and if you really enjoyed it, you can consider supporting me on Patreon. Join the Discord, there's a link in the description below, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.